So before I start, I just wanted to talk a little bit about what inspired me to do this project and what just gave me the idea for it. So for the past 3 years of my high school, I have done the healthcare program at my school. And last year, at the end of my junior year, I got certified as a patient care technician, which means as soon as I turn 18, I can walk into a clinic, a hospital, the ICU, labor and delivery, anywhere I want to go, and I can work without having any college. Of course, I'm going to college, but I can do that without any college. And so when I got into senior project, I was thinking, what can I do that relates to that I know a lot about? And I got to talking to my teachers, and a lot of them had me explain to them what I was talking about when I was telling them the things that I knew. And I was like, well, then maybe I should make a project where I can tell teachers things that most of them have already been over, but just a refresher on what to do when something medical happens, because in most classrooms you are the first responder. Whether they call you that or not, you are the first person to that student. So it's very important that you know everything that you need to do. Okay, and then I wanted to introduce myself a little bit. I'm Hope Allen, and I've been a part of the Honors Academy for 4 years now. I graduate this May. I am a part of HOSA, the Club Healthcare Occupation Students of America. I'm leadership. I am the vice president. I am part of our school's wellness committee, and I've been certified as a patient care technician. A few of the things we're going to go over are seizures and fainting, wound care, the abdominal thrust maneuver, previously known as the Heimlich maneuver, and allergic reactions. And then we'll do concussion, CPR, and then we'll close everything out. Super easy, super fast, nothing crazy. Alright, starting with seizures and fainting. If this happens, most of the time it'll be very obvious. You know, they'll fall on the floor, they'll start seizing. Just make sure you get everything out of their way so they don't hit themselves, hit somebody else, hit their head. You want to throw something soft under their head if you can to keep them from hitting their head on this hard floor. Don't put anything in their mouth. Don't make them eat or drink anything until they're fully responsive. They could choke. You know, just some pretty easy things. If they've got glasses on, take them off. You don't want them to break. If they break, it could cut them, but also glasses are expensive. You don't want them to break. Okay, and then there's something called the recovery position that is very, very helpful when it comes to students that have passed out, students that are feeling dizzy, concussions, after CPR, which usually by the time they're in an ambulance, but if they're not, this position will really help their body just recover. It gives good circulation from top to bottom, and you just want to lay them on the floor, turn them to their side, put a pillow under their head and behind their back, have this arm out in front of them at a 90-degree angle, and this one under their head, and then the leg on top at a 90-degree angle, the one at the bottom stretched all the way out. Got a nice little picture there. Okay, and then for fainting, there's not much you can do other than lay them down, make sure they're comfortable, put them in the recovery position, check them every now and then to make sure they're still breathing, their heart rate's still how it should be, you know, just making sure they're still there. And then when they come back to responsiveness, again, don't give them any food, water, until you make sure that they're all the way awake. Okay, any questions? Awesome. Moving on to wound care. So these are just some things you can keep in your classroom, because a lot of the time teachers think that they can't keep anything in their classroom because you can't give them medicine. You can't give them any creams all the time because it's prescription stuff, and you can't give it to them. But you can give them Band-Aids for minor stuff. You can keep water to rinse out anything big. But you know, if they're falling outside, they're getting gravel and mud and gross stuff if they cut themselves. So just to wash it out. A tourniquet, you'll probably never need that. You'll probably never have an instance where a kid gashes themselves open so much that you'll need a tourniquet to cut it off. It probably will never happen, but we'll go over that in just a second in case you do. And then just paper towels for your occasional nosebleed, little paper cuts, you know, just to stop the bleeding. And then for major wounds, which you would need the tourniquet for, probably won't, wash it out. You can use soap if you have antibacterial, but a lot of the time that can do more damage than good. So just water, and then paper towels to stop the bleeding, cloths, and wrap it up. Most of the time, by the time you get to this step, you'll have a first responder there if you have a big enough wound and ambulance has been called. So most of the time you won't have to do this, but again, just some tips. And then if you ever do need to use a tourniquet, it just makes sure that it's high above the wound to cut the circulation off before it even gets there. Make sure it's tight so it's not going anywhere. Like, you know how when you put a dog's collar on, you always make sure you can put 2 fingers up under there so they're not choking? You don't want any fingers to get up under this tourniquet. None, not even a hair. It needs to be tight. And make sure it's secure, not sliding up and down with the All right, any questions? Perfect. Okay, moving on to the abdominal thrust maneuver, which is probably something y'all have gone over as teachers, is the fist on the abdomen with the other hand, and then you want to push back and upwards, really fast motions 5 times. And then the Red Cross just recently added back blows to the maneuver, so it's 5 back blows, and then 5 thrusts over and over and over until it works. And it was previously called the Heimlich maneuver, but after the Red Cross decided to add back blows to the procedure, Dr. Heimlich said he wanted no part in it. He said, I don't think that should be there. I don't think we should be doing the back blows, so take my name off that. So it's no longer called the Heimlich maneuver because of that. Any questions?
Can you demonstrate back blows on him real quick?
No.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to allergic reactions. These are the 4 main allergies that people have, and it's peanuts, tree nuts, shellfish, eggs, and a bee sting. So a lot of the time, EpiPens, hopefully if a kid has a severe allergy, they carry one with them. And a lot of the time they'll have the instructions on the side like that, and they'll have a piece to take off on the top, a piece to take off on the bottom. Sometimes there's a button, sometimes you just jab it in their leg. You know, it just depends. So there's usually some instructions on the side, but if not, something on the top, something on the bottom, jab it in their leg. Let's see. Okay, a lot of these things, what am I doing? Okay, a lot of these things go for everything that's happening, like keeping calm. A lot of the time, if a kid has injured themselves and they're freaking out, and you're freaking out a little bit, it makes them freak out a little bit more. But if you're calm and you just reassure them that everything's going to be okay, even if you're not sure that it is, which most of the time it will be, then they'll feel a lot better about what you're doing. And then call 911. Again, if it's something severe, that's probably the first thing you need to do, and then the parents, because they're going to gripe if you don't call them first. I used to work at a daycare, and they were awful about not calling them first. And then a cold washcloth when they're having an allergic reaction, or a fan will help them keep calm, because the cold compress on their face will cool them down, keeping them from getting so hot. It'll keep the swelling, it'll slow it down a little bit. The fan makes them feel like they're breathing more than they can if their throat's closing up. All that good stuff. Questions? So moving on to concussions, there's so many symptoms that go with it. So just if you've seen a kid get hit in the head real hard, those are things to look out for, like nausea, dizziness, confusion, tired, just being real groggy, saying the lights hurt, sound hurts their head, just like, but middle schoolers are going to say this all the time. So just like if you have seen them get hit in the head with something, this is something to look out for. But this is one of the main reasons why I didn't do this for the students, is because they're going to see this and they're going to say, I can see it, I'm going to get it out of class. No. Okay, the things that you can do to prevent it from worsening is to lower the lights in the classroom if you can, keep the sound to a minimum, lay them down in the back of the classroom if it's really bothering them. But then things that they can do is making sure they're getting a lot of rest, reduce their screen time because blue light can really hurt your head, and then just eating a lot of antioxidants and omega-3s will really help with the healing. Okay, any questions? Awesome. All right, and then CPR, which I'm sure most of you are CPR certified because you're teachers, but I had to put a disclaimer here, had to. But this is not going to certify you. This is not like a course in it. This is just a refresher. Okay, so you just want to make sure they're laying on their back, arms out, legs out, like starfish position to make sure you get all that blood flow everywhere that it needs to go, and then make sure that their head is up and not down so it's closing it, or too far back so it's bent or something, so you can get right to their airway like you need to. Okay, and then performing is 30 compressions to the chest and 2 breaths. And when you're doing the breaths, you want to hold their nose and lift their chin, right? But starting it, if you ever have a kid that you need it, you want to make sure somebody calls 911. Somebody gets an AED if you have one, which is like a electrical shock machine that is, it tells you what to do, you turn it on, it'll say put the pad here, put the pad here, and then it'll count and then shock. It'll tell you exactly what to do when you turn it on. But if you don't have one, it's not essential to CPR, so it's okay. And then you just want to make sure you try to get everyone out of the area, because when something big's happening, all those kids try to get in there, they try to see what's going on, they try to help, they try to do whatever they can. Just try and get them away, and then do your 30 compressions, your 2 breaths over and over and over again until the ambulance gets there, 911. Alright, and then afterwards, you just want to make sure if you bring them back and the ambulance still isn't there, then just make sure they're laid down. They don't try to get up. You're keeping them calm. It's okay. It's alright. Just reassuring them, making sure they stay laying down so nothing else happens, and then just wait for somebody to get there. Okay, and that was all. So, do we have any questions?
Could you do the, on him?
I can.
Let me demonstrate.
Yeah, you're good. Well, thank you for coming to listen to me. As I said, it was really short and sweet, just things that y'all probably already know.
Press cancel.
Over it.
Press cancel.
Just going over it one more time, you know, just as a refresher. So there's this little survey you'll do for my teacher. You don't have to do it, but if you would complete it real fast, that would be great.